As you can hear, it sounds good and it's still working, but when I turned it on, I was hearing some hum and some crackling and popping noises, so I think it's time to get into this thing and start recapping it, because I do intend on using this every day, and I can't really do that with all the original capacitors, because they're going to short out eventually. So let's get into it. I did some looking since yesterday. Oh crap, that's dark. I did some looking at this since yesterday, and I took this little thing off, and this is a filament transformer. Feeds the filaments of these. I don't know why they would do that. Maybe it's for like to stop hum or something, or to isolate them. I don't know, but it's weird. And we've got to just figure out how this comes apart. I don't know. It looks pretty straightforward. I think I've had this design before on other RCAs. All you do is you pull out these 4 screws and undo these screw terminals and plugs and stuff. Let's get this thing out. You'll notice something's missing. Where's the asbestos? It's gone. I pried it out. All you do is you just carefully pry out the staples and then toss it in the trash. As long as you're careful not to like rip it up, you just carefully pry up the staples and it comes right out. Here's the chassis. It's got to be the greenest chassis I've ever seen. It looks much greener in real life. It's all cadmium, of course. I'm going to clean it all off. That's just corrosion that happens. I did not look underneath the chassis yet, but I'm going to clean it off first, and then we'll take a look. By the way, this uses 12 tubes. 12 tubes. That's a lot of tubes. Cleaned up the top. All the green is gone for the most part. And I cleaned up the dial. There was like a thick layer of dust on it. Are you ready to see the underneath? I've not peeked yet. I don't know. Are we going to find a horrible botch job, or is it going to be original? I don't know. Let's see. Looks... oh. I don't know. What are these black things? What are these? Black capacitors? Are they original or replacement? I feel like they're replacement because this is from 1948. A lot of capacitors in there. A lot of capacitors to replace. Great. This is gonna suck. Right in here is the filter capacitor. Right down in there. How am I gonna replace that? And I bet all this wire is crispy too. This red wire. It's probably all disintegrating and stuff. And this crappy rubber wire. Also, I found one replacement right there. That's a replacement capacitor from, I don't know, the 60s or 70s or 80s, I don't know. But the rest is original. 21 capacitors that need to be replaced. Great. I don't know about these, though. I'm just going to replace them because they're sus. I don't know if these are good ones. What kind of capacitors are these? I'm assuming these are just paper capacitors inside like a little tube with some epoxy poured in the end. Forgot to count this. Now there are 25 capacitors to replace. I have replaced, where are here? These. Just got started. I just replaced, what, like 6? I'm just checking to make sure it still works, you know, like that I didn't mess it up. Still works. I was out of the room, and I just came in the room, and all of a sudden I heard like hum from the speaker, and I saw the lights dim down. So I'm gonna say that this is probably shorted, and I caught it at the perfect time, because if I had been out of the room, this might have like blown open this power transformer or exploded. So yeah, I'm gonna say that this is probably shorted, but we will find out in a minute. Moment of truth, let's go. I got it connected on ground. Let's see, where is it? That one's good. That one is 500 ohms. That could be bad. It's definitely that one. It's 500 ohms. I don't know if that would pull enough current to dim the filaments, but maybe, I don't know. They seem good, but something shorted for sure. Hold on. I just noticed this. 10 microfarad, 450 volts. Okay. No, that one's good. Well, where is it? Which one of these is shorted? I need to address this filter capacitor right now. I mean, I've already done a few capacitors here, but I want to get the hardest part done right now. So, the filter capacitor is right in here, behind this transformer and all this stuff. There's no way I'll be able to fit new capacitors under here. There's just no room. So, what I'm gonna do, I think, is chop off the old capacitor, this one, and then stick the new capacitors inside this old can. So, I have just moved all the wires out of the way. I removed the dial lamps so I wouldn't cut off the wire. I pulled out the tubes in the surrounding area, and now I'm just gonna take, oh yeah, and I inserted the saw through this. I just unscrewed the blade, so now I'm just gonna take this and cut this off. Hope it doesn't smell like shit or something. Here's progress so far. And yeah, I'm definitely getting a whiff of that vintage, disgusting, shitty flavor. So, yeah. Alright. Capacitor. Cut in half. Oh yeah. It's basically just a big, huge roll of paper and aluminum. Now I gotta just clean all this up. I gotta get that crap out of there. There should be some terminals, some solder terminals in there that I can solder the new capacitors onto. And I also gotta clean this out. I've heard people can use heat, like a heat gun or something, or a corkscrew or something. I don't know, I'll figure it out. Well, that came off nicely, this vintage capacitor loaf, or a cigarette. If you want a cigarette, you could smoke that. Probably tastes pretty good. We just gotta clean all this crap out of here now. And there are the 3 solder terminals. Oh, and there's the ground. I guess the ground gets clamped onto this one right here. Oh yeah, see? The ground would have got clamped on right here. Well, holy crap, that was easy. It pulled out super easy. I thought I was gonna have to pull out the blowtorch to heat this can up to get that out, because there's usually tar in there. Or what I've heard is there's tar in there, but hey, it came out super easy. All I gotta do is clean this up a little bit, and we're good to go. So it turns out that these are actually aluminum. You can't solder to aluminum, it doesn't stick. So I'm gonna have to drill some holes through this plastic thing and then stuff the leads of the new capacitors down through the holes and solder them onto the wires that are under there. Oops, that just broke off. Hope you can see this, but what I've done here is I've just taken a fine drill bit and I've drilled some little holes through that, whatever that material is, and I've shoved this capacitor down through there. I'm just going to solder the leads of this capacitor onto the wires underneath, right? Now this will work fine for one capacitor, but the second capacitor I have is not going to fit. It doesn't even fit in the can. Where is it? Here. Look. Yeah, what am I going to do about that? I'm going to need to find a smaller capacitor or something. Alright, I've got the one small capacitor soldered in. Oh jeez, stupid camera, focus already. Oh, stupid. I've got it soldered in. It's like, this is like the tightest little corner ever. I'm gonna put the other capacitor right here because it's definitely not gonna fit in the can. And then there's one more, the little cathode bias capacitor. It's gonna go right here because here's the cathode and here's ground, so I'm just gonna solder it on. Yeah, working good. No smoke yet.
When you find something in the home sense and it's in good condition and it's the last item, it is.
I think it's a little distorted because the right antenna is not on it. I had this problem before. When I first got it, the FM antenna was disconnected and it was distorted. So I think that's the problem. Because when I connected the built-in antenna, it sounds good, but it just sounds distorted with this wire. So the antenna definitely matters. You can't just hook up a wire. It's definitely less distortion on full power. I took it off the light bulb. Maybe that's why it's distorted. And now we get the full FM band on like about 80 volts. It's about 80 volts with the light bulb. And for some reason we weren't getting this top end of the FM band, only the lower FM band. we weren't getting like past 100 megahertz or whatever. So now it's working on full voltage. There's no problems now. And it sounds better. So I'm gonna replace this mess with this. I got this from another old console radio. I'm gonna replace these because I don't know, a cat must have got on these or something. There are some rust spots on this, so I'm just gonna spray some gold color on here. I've just got the new grill cloth in. You can see the difference. I think it looks better, to be honest. There's more contrast now because the old one's really dark and the new one's much better. I got it in good. I gave it 2 coats of gold spray paint on the metal thing. I just glued this in. I did a pretty good job. You can see the cloth a little bit showing, but it's good enough for me. I still got to do this one. There's still one of the corners here, and the top is all scratched by a cat. But this one has the speaker, so I'm going to have to like remove the speaker and the antenna and everything. It's in the back here. Can't really... I could move it this way, but I'll have to get that apart. And then I put this can back on with some aluminum tape. Pretty good. And then I still need to replace a bunch more capacitors. And then we're pretty much good. I got the speaker baffle out, and this is weird. Unlike the other one, this piece is actually stapled to the edge, so I can't get this out. I would like to get it out so I could spray paint it, because it is a little rusted, but I'm just going to leave it. It's too much trouble. Here's the speaker grill in a better light. You can see it's got this absolutely hideous pattern, and then it's all scratched up here. It should come off. Yeah, it is going to come off easy. Real easy. The glue is so vintage that it just peels right off. Hard to do this one-handed, but I'm going to do it. Wow, this comes off real easy. Well, except for this corner. This corner is not compliant. You can smell the dust coming off this thing. It's probably never been washed. Oh wow. I'm surprised it actually has a dust cap on the speaker. Most of these have just a little felt thingy. Come on. This corner is stuck. Yeah, whatever, you get it. Here's the second piece. It's just gonna be glued on. It's gonna be harder than the last one because I gotta get this really tight so that there won't be any, like, you know, any of that. I've just been doing some voltage measurements on these paper capacitors. Most of them are good, but there are a few that need to be replaced. This coupling capacitor has about 50 volts across it, and this little one up here has about like 200 volts across it. But those are the only ones. The rest of them are good. They don't need to be replaced because I've already replaced most of them. But I just thought I'd check because, like, I don't really have to replace all of them. I only really have to replace the ones that have high voltage across them. I've just replaced the last 2 capacitors. I did this little one and then this one down here. Also, I didn't even notice before, but there's a replacement resistor behind there. So yeah, someone was in here before. They did this and they did that. And the rest of these old original capacitors, I'm going to leave here. I measured them. While this thing was on, I measured it, and there's no high voltage on these ones, so they're just like tone capacitors and, I don't know, bypass capacitors or something. So they're good. All the critical ones that would have shorted out have been replaced. And the filter caps, I still need to glue this thing down so it doesn't like move around, but it's done. And yeah, that we're pretty much, oh wait a minute, I did not recap this yet. This is the little preamp little thingy. I might need to do that, but it's fine, I'll do that later. Here are all the parts I replaced. You can see knobs. You can see here's one of the filter capacitors. Here are all the other ones that I replaced. I've never seen these kind before. They have the wires coming out of the edges, and they say, wait a minute, if I can get this thing to focus. They're made in Canada, which is cool. 0.15. They're all 0.15. Plus minus 20%. I've never seen that on a capacitor. That's usually for resistors. Oh. Aerovox Bioelectric. I have no idea what these are. Could these be like more modern than I think? Because these are definitely old. Like from the 40s or 50s. But this could be from the 60s or 70s. I'm not sure. Alright, got it all back together. Just temporary, of course. I still got to replace this stupid piece of crap. Once I can figure out where to buy some, that is. But I just thought I'd put it all back together so I don't have the chassis sitting out here in the open where it'll probably get damaged or something. So let's just give it a test and hope it didn't break while I was putting it back in, because that always happens. Wait a minute. Very bad connection on the... It works, of course. No AM. I didn't connect the AM antenna. That's phono. The hell is that? Where's that hum coming from? Stupid. I need a record now.